Ladies and gentlemen, if I were to ask you a simple question today, what is the one thing holding you back from success? Most people would point outside themselves. They would say circumstances, bad luck, the economy, unfair people, lack of education, lack of money, or lack of opportunity. But Jim Rohn taught us a powerful truth. It's rarely what's happening to you that determines your future. It's what you do about it. The one thing holding you back from success is not the world. It is not your past. It is not the cards you were dealt. The one thing holding you back is the standard you have accepted for yourself. You see, success is not a mystery. It is not reserved for a lucky few. Success is predictable. If you do certain things long enough, life will reward you. If you ignore those things long enough, life will collect a price, and the tragedy is not failure, it's settling. It's waking up years later and realizing you lowered your expectations to match your excuses. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. Jim Rohn used to say, "We all must suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret." And here's the truth. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. The one thing holding you back is choosing comfort over discipline, ease over effort, now over later. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you promised yourself you would change? How many Mondays were supposed to be the new beginning? How many times did you say, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it next week. When things calm down, then I'll focus"? Tomorrow has become your favorite hiding place. Success doesn't require dramatic moves. It requires daily, boring, often invisible actions done with commitment. Reading 10 pages a day doesn't feel heroic. Waking up early doesn't feel exciting. Saying no to distractions doesn't get applause. But those small disciplines, practiced consistently, create a life that looks extraordinary from the outside. The problem is not that people don't know what to do. Most people already know. They know they should improve their skills, manage their time better, take care of their health, control their attitude, and raise their standards. The problem is they don't do it long enough to let it work. Your habits are voting every day for the kind of life you will live. Every excuse you repeat is a vote for staying the same. Every small act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. Jim Rohn said, "You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour." If you want more income, become more valuable. If you want more confidence, keep promises to yourself. If you want more respect, start by respecting your own potential. Here's a hard truth. Nobody is coming to save you, and that's not depressing, that's empowering, because it means your future is still in your hands. The moment you accept full responsibility, you regain control. The moment you stop blaming, you start building. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation comes after action, not before it. Do the work when you don't feel like it. Show up when it's inconvenient. Stay consistent when no one is watching. That is where character is built, and character always precedes success. Raise your standards. Decide what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. No more excuses dressed up as reasons. No more negotiating with laziness. No more saying, "This is just how I am." You can redesign your life, but only if you're willing to redesign your daily routine. Remember this: life rewards action. Life rewards responsibility. Life rewards those who demand more from themselves than the world demands from them. The one thing holding you back is not a lack of ability. It is a lack of decision. Decide today to become disciplined. Decide today to grow. Decide today to act like your future matters, because it does. And when you finally change your standards, your habits will rise, your confidence will grow, your results will improve, and one day you'll look back and realize the obstacle was never outside you. It was the version of you that refused to step forward. Most people believe the reason they are not successful yet is because something is missing in their life. They think they need more money, more connections, more education, more luck, or more time. But Jim Rohn reminded us again and again that success does not begin with what you have. It begins with what you accept. The real barrier is not a lack of opportunity. It is the standards you tolerate in your daily life. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your standards. Look closely at your life and ask yourself an honest question. What behaviors, habits, and situations have you quietly allowed to stay? What have you normalized that should never have been acceptable in the first place? Late nights wasted on distractions, promises made to yourself and broken without consequence, average effort justified by average result. These things don't destroy your life overnight, but over time they slowly shape your future. Whatever you tolerate becomes your lifestyle, and whatever becomes your lifestyle becomes your destiny. Jim Rohn used to say that if you don't like how things are, change your standard. Because once you raise your standards, everything else is forced to rise with it. When you decide that mediocrity is no longer an option, your actions begin to change. When you decide that excuses are no longer acceptable, your discipline strengthens. When you decide that your time is valuable, you stop giving it away to things that give nothing back. The tragedy is that many people lower their standards to avoid discomfort. They tell themselves it's okay to stay where they are, to stay average, to stay stuck, because at least it feels familiar. But familiarity is dangerous. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. People stay in situations they hate because change demands effort, and effort demands responsibility. Success begins the moment you say, "This is no longer okay." And not next year, not next month, not when conditions improve, but now. The day you raise your standards is the day your life starts to change direction. You stop asking, "What's the least I can do?" and start asking, "What's required to win?" That shift alone separates leaders from followers, achievers from dreamers. Think about this deeply. Life will not reward you for what you need. It rewards you for what you deserve based on your actions. If you tolerate poor preparation, you deserve poor results. If you tolerate weak discipline, you get weak outcomes. But if you demand excellence from yourself, even in small things, life responds with progress. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Your standards show up in how you speak to yourself, how you manage your time, how you react to pressure, and how consistent you are when nobody is watching. Anyone can perform when they feel motivated. Winners perform when motivation disappears. That's the power of standards. They guide you even when emotions fluctuate. Jim Rohn often said that success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is a few errors in judgment repeated daily. Those errors don't look dangerous at first. Skipping a workout once, delaying a task again, choosing comfort over growth. But over time, these small compromises create a life far below your potential, not because you weren't capable, but because you allowed less than your best to become normal. Raising your standards does not mean perfection. It means commitment. It means deciding that your future matters enough to demand more from yourself today. It means choosing long-term pride over short-term pleasure. It means holding yourself accountable even when no one else does. The moment you raise your standards, you'll feel resistance. Old habits will fight back. Old friends may question you. Your comfort zone will try to pull you back. That resistance is a sign you are growing. Growth is uncomfortable because it forces you to leave behind the version of yourself that settled for less. Stop waiting for life to change. Life changes when you change what you tolerate. When you stop accepting laziness, distraction, inconsistency, and excuses, you create space for discipline, focus, and progress. Success is not about doing extraordinary things once. It's about refusing to accept ordinary effort every day. If you want a better life, demand more from yourself. Raise your standards in how you think, how you act, and how you commit. Because the moment you stop tolerating less, life has no choice but to give you more. The second great truth Jim Rohn taught is simple, but it changes everything once you truly accept it. You are where you are because of the choices you have made. Not your parents, not your friends, not your past, not the economy. Full responsibility is the doorway to personal power, and until you walk through that door, success will always feel just out of reach. The moment you stop blaming and start owning, your life begins to shift. Most people don't reject responsibility openly. They do it quietly. They disguise it as reasons. They say they would be disciplined if they had more time. They would start the business if they had more money. They would focus if life wasn't so stressful. These statements sound logical, but they keep you stuck. Every excuse hands your power to something outside of you, and whatever you give power to ends up controlling your future. Jim Rohn said, "The day you take complete responsibility for yourself, the day you stop making any excuses, that's the day you start to the top." Responsibility is not about guilt or self-criticism. It is about ownership. When you own your results, you also own your ability to change them. Blame feels easier in the moment, but it costs you your future. Look closely at your daily life. Your income reflects your value in the marketplace. Your health reflects your habits. Your confidence reflects the promises you keep to yourself. None of this is meant to shame you. It's meant to empower you. Because if your choices created your current life, then new choices can create a better one. You are not trapped. You are trained, and training can be changed. Taking responsibility means you stop saying, "That's just how I am." That phrase is one of the most dangerous sentences a person can speak. It closes the door to growth. Jim Rohn believed that human beings are not fixed. They are adjustable. You can learn new skills, build new habits, and develop new disciplines, but only if you stop defending your limitations. Responsibility also means understanding that success is a long-term process. You don't change your life by making one good decision. You change it by making better decisions consistently. That's why Jim Rohn emphasized daily discipline. Small actions done daily shape your character, and your character shapes your destiny. Skip the disciplines, and life will discipline you. Practice the disciplines, and life will reward you. Many people wait for confidence before taking responsibility. But confidence doesn't come first. Competence does. And competence comes from doing the work, even when you feel uncertain. When you take responsibility for learning, improving, and showing up, confidence naturally follows. You don't become confident by thinking about it. You become confident by keeping commitments to yourself. One of the hardest parts of responsibility is accepting that nobody owes you success. Life does not reward intention, it rewards execution. You may deserve a better life emotionally, but life responds only to action. Once you understand this, you stop complaining and start building. You stop wishing and start working. You stop hoping for a break and start creating momentum. Jim Rohn often said that we should all stand guard at the door of our minds. Taking responsibility includes taking control of your thoughts. What you allow to dominate your mind will eventually dominate your actions. If you constantly think like a victim, you will act like one. If you think like a leader, you will begin to act with purpose and direction. Responsibility begins in the mind before it ever shows up in results. Taking responsibility also requires humility. You must be willing to admit when you are wrong, when you are inconsistent, and when you have been lazy with your potential. But humility is not weakness. It is strength. It allows you to learn, adjust, and grow. Pride keeps you stuck. Responsibility sets you free. The most powerful moment in personal development is when you say, "If it's going to be, it's up to me." That sentence eliminates excuses and creates clarity. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you always control how you respond, and your response is what determines the direction of your life. When you accept full responsibility, your language changes, your habits change, and your results begin to change. You stop asking, "Who is to blame?" and start asking, "What needs to be done?" And that shift, practiced daily, is what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise, grow, and eventually succeed. The third truth Jim Rohn emphasized is the one most people resist, because it demands consistency long after excitement fades. Your life does not change because you want it to change. It does not change because you hope, wish, or pray for it to change. Life changes only when you change what you do every day. Disciplined action, repeated consistently over time, is the real engine behind success, and without it, even the best intentions remain nothing more than dreams. Many people fall in love with motivation. They watch speeches, read quotes, feel inspired for a moment, and believe that feeling will carry them forward. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Jim Rohn taught that successful people don't wait to feel motivated. They build routines that carry them forward even when motivation disappears. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Small actions often feel insignificant in the moment. Reading a few pages, practicing a skill for 30 minutes, making one extra phone call, waking up a little earlier, planning the day instead of reacting to it. None of these feel life-changing today. That's why most people quit. They underestimate the power of small, consistent actions and overestimate the power of one big move. But success is not an event. It is an accumulation. Jim Rohn said that success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is a few simple errors in judgment repeated daily. Both paths are easy to start, both feel harmless at first. The difference is the direction they take you over time. Discipline feels uncomfortable now, but it buys you comfort later. Neglect feels comfortable now, but it charges you pain later. Life always collects the bill. Consistency is difficult because results are delayed. You plant seeds today, but the harvest comes later. Most people quit in the season of planting because they don't see immediate results. They work for a week, a month, sometimes even a year, and when nothing dramatic happens, they assume it's not working. But growth is happening underground. Roots are forming before fruits appear. Those who succeed are the ones who stay consistent long enough for the invisible work to become visible. Disciplined action also builds identity. Every time you do what you said you would do, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable, capable, and strong. Every time you skip what you committed to, you reinforce doubt. Confidence is not built through affirmations, it is built through evidence. Discipline provides that evidence one day at a time. Jim Rohn believed that success is not about intensity, it is about regularity. You don't need to be extreme, you need to be consistent. 10 minutes a day beats 2 hours once a month. Showing up daily beats showing up occasionally with passion. Ordinary actions done consistently create extraordinary lives. The hardest part of disciplined action is that nobody claps in the beginning. There is no recognition for early mornings, quiet practice, or silent sacrifices. You work while others sleep, and nothing seems to change. But eventually, something does. Your skills improve, your focus sharpens, your results begin to compound, and suddenly people call it luck, not realizing how many disciplined days created that moment. Discipline also protects you from regret. Regret comes from knowing you could have done more but didn't. Discipline removes that burden. Even when results take time, you sleep better knowing you are becoming better. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you know you are on the right path. Consistency requires patience, and patience requires faith. Faith not in luck, but in the process. Faith that doing the right things long enough will eventually produce the right results. Jim Rohn taught that you cannot cheat the process, but if you respect it, it will reward you. Every disciplined action is a vote for your future. Every day you act with intention, you move slightly closer to the life you want. Miss one day and you can recover. Quit consistently and you drift backward. The difference between success and failure is rarely talent. It is the willingness to keep going when progress feels slow. If you want your life to change, don't wait for a miracle. Become the miracle through disciplined, consistent action. Show up daily, do the small things well, trust the process. Because when discipline becomes your lifestyle, success stops being a wish and starts becoming inevitable. Now, let's bring it all together. Because understanding these ideas is not enough. Knowing is not power. Applied knowledge is power, and Jim Rohn never spoke to impress people. He spoke to awaken them. This is the moment where you stop listening like a spectator and start listening like your life depends on it, because it does. You already have everything you need to begin. Not everything you want, not everything you think you should have, but everything you need. What you've been missing is not information, it's decision. Decision to raise your standards. Decision to take full responsibility. Decision to act with discipline even when it's uncomfortable. These 3 decisions, practiced daily, can change the direction of your entire life. Don't underestimate this moment. Moments of clarity are rare, and they don't knock twice. Right now, you can choose to walk away inspired but unchanged, or committed and transformed. Inspiration fades. Commitment rewires who you are. Tell yourself the truth today. Look at your life honestly, not with shame, but with courage. If results are lacking, standards are low. If progress is slow, discipline is inconsistent. If frustration is high, responsibility has been avoided. This is not bad news. This is empowering news, because what you can own, you can change. Jim Rohn taught that you don't change your life by chance, you change it by choice. Choose to stop tolerating what you know is holding you back. Choose to stop blaming what you cannot control. Choose to start doing the small things you know you should do, especially when you don't feel like it. Imagine your future self standing in front of you right now, not 5 days from now, 5 years from now, stronger, sharper, more confident, living with pride instead of regret. And imagine that version of you asking one simple question. Did you do what was required, or did you do what was convenient? That question will eventually be answered by your actions, whether you like it or not. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become, and becoming that person starts today, not someday. Today you decide to read instead of scroll, to plan instead of drift, to act instead of delay, to lead yourself instead of negotiating with excuses. There will be days when you don't feel motivated. Good. That's where discipline steps in. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Good. That's where faith in the process is built. There will be days when quitting feels tempting. Good. That's where character is forged. You don't need more confidence to begin. You need to begin to build confidence. You don't need clarity about every step. You need courage to take the next one. Life rewards motion, not intention. Remember this deeply. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are simply one decision away from a different direction, and direction, not speed, determines your destination. Jim Rohn said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Design your life with purpose. Decide what you stand for. Decide what you will no longer accept. Decide what kind of person you are becoming. Because at the end of your life, it won't matter how many excuses you had. It will matter how much courage you showed. It won't matter how unfair things were. It will matter how faithfully you acted, and it won't matter how many times you failed. It will matter how often you got back up and stayed disciplined. The one thing holding you back has never been outside you. It has always been waiting for your permission to step aside. Withdraw that permission today. Raise your standards, own your life, act with discipline. And if you do, consistently, patiently, relentlessly, one day you will look back and realize that the moment everything changed was the moment you decided to change yourself.